It's not that you must be free from fear. What is needed, rather than running away or controlling or suppressing or any other resistance, is understanding fear. That means watch it, learn about it, come directly into contact with it. J. Krishnamurti. Welcome to Self-Talk. I'm Rachel Astarte. Thank you for being here. This season, we're bringing all that you learned about building your foundation of self and putting it into practice. Today, we're exploring something that may feel counterintuitive at first, but it's one of the most powerful practices I know. It's the practice I call Bring It Closer. Specifically, we're talking about bringing our fears closer. Rather than avoiding them or suppressing them or distracting from them or trying to transcend them, what happens when we bring them closer? Not to indulge the fears and not to let them run the show, but to illuminate them and learn from them and ultimately soften their grip. Because fear doesn't actually want to be avoided. It wants to be seen. Let's start with why this is so hard. From an evolutionary standpoint, fear is designed to protect us. The nervous system's job is to move us away from perceived threat as quickly as possible. That's how we survive. Psychologically, fear feels destabilizing. It's uncomfortable. And many of us worry that if we face whatever the fear is, we will be overwhelmed, or worse, it will take over, and that will be the end of the stable life that we've worked so hard to create. That's if we even brave taking a glance at it. This is the voice of the underdeveloped ego we've talked about in the past, the small s self. That underdeveloped ego equates fear with danger, and danger with ego annihilation. So don't look at the scary thing. That's not where we want to go. So we do all we can to avoid the fear. We distract ourselves with work or socializing or scrolling, or we absorb ourselves in that numbing salve of our spiritual practice or affirmations or positive thinking, just anything to get that fear away from us. And once we get far enough away from the fear, that is, the sting of it feels abated, we carry on with our lives. But fear doesn't disappear when we do that. It just goes back around the block, plotting how it's going to come back with another ploy to get you to pay attention to it. And this is part of the underdeveloped ego too. It's really, really clever at getting you to look at stuff that you avoid. When fear is not acknowledged, it doesn't rest, it roams around. Unseen fear becomes anxiety without a clear source. That's what anxiety is. It's that nebulous ick based on a future event that may or may not happen. Avoidance of fear then can turn into irritability or numbness, self-sabotage, hypervigilance. And once we're feeling that, these feelings get projected onto our relationships, our decisions, and of course, those good old imagined narratives in the future. A couple of weeks ago, I asked a fearful client what was troubling her specifically. And she couldn't even name the fear, only the feeling of being afraid. She finally admitted it was a fear that she would be mocked by her friends if she told them she wanted to stay home and rest rather than go out, which she further refined as a fear of rejection and abandonment. Sitting with this fear, she was able to see that A, her friends might be disappointed, but would not likely abandon her, and B, if they did, they really weren't good friends anyway. And Good riddance. What we can learn from that is what remains nameless becomes larger than it needs to be. What stays in the dark grows distorted. What we can learn from this too is that avoidance doesn't protect us from fear. It gives the fear more power. How long had she been walking around with this fear that she couldn't quite put her finger on? So let me offer a different way of seeing fear. Imagine fear not as a monster, the scary thing, but rather as a frightened child. If a small child came to you terrified, just woke up from a nightmare, was shaking, unsure of what to do, what would you do? Would you tell them to go away? Would you shame them for being afraid? Would you distract them and hope they stop crying? No. You would get closer. You would lower yourself down to their level, pull them onto your lap, and offer steadiness and presence. Fear is no different. Fear does not want to be banished. It wants reassurance. It wants safety. It wants to be held in awareness by something larger than itself. And by the way, that's you. That something is your highest self. The highest self, the capital S self. Now, it's important to point out here that bringing fear closer does not mean collapsing into it. It doesn't mean dramatizing it or letting it dominate your inner world. What bring it closer means is turning toward the fear with awareness and genuine curiosity instead of resistance. So that means allowing fear to be named instead of avoided, allowing fear to be felt instead of fought, and understood instead of silenced. When fear is brought into the light of consciousness without judgment, it no longer has to hide in the shadows, just as my client experienced. And when fear is witnessed non-judgmentally, it doesn't need to be so insistent, so insidious. Fear always has a story. It's trying to protect something, it's guarding a vulnerability, it's holding memory, often from much earlier than we realize. When we bring the fear closer, we give it the opportunity to state its case. And often when we listen, we discover that that fear is outdated. It's responding to a world that really doesn't exist anymore. For my client, her fear of being judged by her friends came from having been teased by her elementary school friends for not wanting to gossip about other girls in class. Fear can only be addressed and revised when it's acknowledged. And this is how the underdeveloped ego begins to evolve, not through force, but through inclusion. Now, this brings us to one of the most important ideas in inner work. Healing is not about eliminating parts of ourselves. It doesn't come from a place of, this part is broken and I have to fix it. No one's broken. The parts of ourselves that are out of alignment need to be realigned. They need to be integrated. When every part of us is welcomed to the long wooden table in the cottage of the self, even the fearful ones, we create congruency. What is true on the inside is true on the outside. And when we live congruently, we become far more capable of meeting life as it is, uncertain, complex, beautiful, and full of possibility. We don't become fearless. That's not possible. We're human. But we do become whole. Now we can arrive at the deepest layer of this work, this bring it closer tool. At the core of the foundation of self is the understanding that we are not only individual selves navigating our personal fears and our lives and trying to be better and all of that. Each of us is a unique expression of pure consciousness, a fractal of the infinite, both distinct and inseparable from the whole. So from this perspective, nothing inside us, nothing we experience is foreign. Nothing is outside the field of belonging. So there is ultimately nothing to be afraid of. Every experience, every thought, every emotion, every fear is part of the same great movement of consciousness exploring itself. Everything is us. And when we remember that, fear loses its power to convince us we are alone. Now, as you move through your days, I invite you to notice one moment of fear, not to fix it, not to analyze it, but simply to bring it closer. Just sit with it. Listen. Witness. Use that non-judgment and gentleness to understand your fear. You'll likely find that once your fear is brought out of the dark corners of your mind and into the light with loving attention, it will no longer have a reason to be. And you will experience a more complete, more integrated self. If this foundation of self-work speaks to you, I will invite you, as I do every episode, to join us for my ongoing course, Write Yourself Open. Each gathering includes guided meditation, reflective writing, and supportive group discussion to keep that practice of your inner work alive in a container that's very, very much full of care and love and support, because everyone's in the same boat, doing the same work. And I have some good news. Beginning April 2026, we may have another section open, which would be on Mondays. So typically we meet every second and fourth Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. But I'm looking to open another class if there is interest. Mondays, same time, but it'll be the second and fourth Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And if you are interested, please drop me a line at rachel@writeyourselfopen.com. That's Rachel, R-A-C-H-E-L, at writeyourselfopen.com. Let me know if you're interested. No pressure. Right now we have 3 slots available, so let me know. You can also visit www.writeyourselfopen.com for more information or to register for any of the classes. Right now we just have the Tuesday class going, but we might be opening, as I said, April 13th on Mondays as well. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. Hi, this is Rachel Astarte from the Self-Talk Podcast. I'd love for you to send me your emails with questions or stories about yourself. What are you looking for? What are your questions? What are you grappling with in your own personal life that has to do with your identity, with yourself, with your very existence? These are the things that we're going to talk about during the podcast. And go ahead. It's all right. Get deep. I can handle it. So send them to rachel@selftalkpodcast.com. And I'll see you on the next episode.